to town.
Ready to create an amazing story?
Choose a book from one of these real-life writing heroes
to make a new story just like theirs. Charles Dickens, Nellie Bly,
Zora Neale Hurston,
Mary Shelley,
the Bronte sisters.
Choose a story. I hope it's not too spooky.
The Bronte sisters.
The Bronte sisters were creative people who loved to pretend.
Charlotte, Emily, and Anne wrote lots of great stories.
Hey, let's create a story about us pretending.
There are many ways to come up with story ideas, you know.
One rainy day, Yadina pretended to be a diver, an astronaut, a ringmaster, a bug. A bug. One rainy day, Yadina pretended to be a bug. And Xavier pretended to be a baseball player, a pirate, a clown, a caterpillar. A caterpillar. And Xavier pretended to be a caterpillar. Yadina and Xavier pretended they were inside a pizza palace, a castle, a library, a garden. A garden. Yadina and Xavier pretended they were inside a garden. When suddenly, they pretended the floor turned into ice, lava, quicksand, pudding. Pudding. When suddenly, they pretended the floor turned into pudding. I'll save them. So then, Brad pretended to rescue his friends as dun-dun-dun, Rad Brad, Brad Man, Bike Man, a butterfly, a butterfly. So then, Brad pretended to rescue his friends as dun-dun-dun, a butterfly.
Yay, Brad, our brave hero!
Xavier and Yadina were proud to have such a brave friend as they climbed aboard Brad's rescue bicycle, boat, balloon, dinosaur, dinosaur. Xavier and Yadina were proud to have such a brave friend as they climbed aboard Brad's rescue dinosaur. That was amazing! The end.
Thanks for telling such a surprising story about us.
And pretending some amazing things. Just like the Bronte sisters. Nellie Bly. Nellie Bly. Nellie Bly wrote about some big, and sometimes scary, adventures she went on.
Nellie was bold. That means she was brave and willing to try new things.
Hey, let's create a story about Yadina being bold.
When you really want to do something, be bold.
At the playground, Yadina was too scared to try the monkey bars, so she went on the duck, the seesaw, the slide, the swing, the duck. At the playground, Yadina was too scared to try the monkey bars, so she went on the duck. When suddenly, Dr. Zoom was carried away by a bird, a kite, a gust of wind, a balloon, a bird. When suddenly, Dr. Zoom was carried away by a bird.
Hang on, Dr. Zoom!
Yadina had to be bold and chase after Dr. Zoom using her bicycle, jetpack, ship, roller skates, roller skates. Yadina had to be bold and chase after Dr. Zoom using her roller skates. Then Dr. Zoom landed on top of a pyramid, the moon, a tower, a spaghetti mountain, a spaghetti mountain. Then Dr. Zoom landed on top of a spaghetti mountain. To save Dr. Zoom, Yadina had to be bold and climb up the pizza stairs, the ladder, the monkey bars, the pizza stairs. To save Dr. Zoom, Yadina had to be bold and climb up the pizza stairs.
Yadina, I knew you could do it!
To celebrate rescuing Dr. Zoom, she gave her best turtle friend a big kiss, snack, hug, hug. To celebrate rescuing Dr. Zoom, she gave her best turtle friend a big hug.
What a turtle-tastic story!
The end.
Thanks for telling such a cool story about me being bold. When you really want to do something, be bold.
Just like Nellie Bly.
Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley used her imagination to write stories that were totally different from everybody else's.
Some of her stories were spooky. Ooh, let's create a story about Xavier. Your way. I say let your imagination run wild and have fun telling stories your own way. Xavier was walking in the woods when suddenly something happened that was very surprising, funny, spooky. Spooky. Xavier was walking in the woods when suddenly something happened that was very spooky. He came face to face with a supervillain, Zilliant, ghost, book monster, book monster. He came face to face with a book monster. At first, Xavier tried to be a statue, hide, run away, be invisible, be invisible. At first, Xavier tried to be invisible. But then, Xavier decided to be funny, kind, brave, brave. But then, Xavier decided to be brave. Go, Xavier! Xavier stood bravely, holding a wand, a flashlight, a lantern, a piece of broccoli, a wand. Xavier stood bravely, holding a wand. To Xavier's surprise, the book monster said, "Let's be friends. Let's eat pie. Let's boogie. Let's giggle. Let's be friends." To Xavier's surprise, the book monster said, "Let's be friends." Wow, didn't see that coming. The end.
Thanks for making an amazing story about me.
Your own way. Just like Mary Shelley.
Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens used his imagination to write great stories.
Stories that lots of people still love today.
Ooh, let's create a story about Brad's imagination.
Your imagination makes everything more fun.
One day, Brad was laying down on his bed, blanket, couch, beanbag. One day, Brad was laying down on his beanbag, when suddenly, Brad imagined it was a whale, a spaceship, an airplane, a castle. A whale! When suddenly, Brad imagined it was a whale. And Brad imagined he was in the clouds, a baseball game, the ocean, outer space. And Brad imagined he was in outer space. Then Brad imagined he saw popcorn, worms, chickens, balloons. Popcorn. Then Brad imagined he saw popcorn.
Whoa! Now that's using your imagination.
And Brad imagined he was holding a lollipop, bowling ball, banana, tennis racket, lollipop. And Brad imagined he was holding a lollipop.
Whew! My imagination is exhausting.
So, Brad imagined he was relaxing in the butterfly conservatory, the museum, his bedroom, the circus. So, Brad imagined he was relaxing in the circus.
Ooh! Now there's a story I loved.
The end.
Thanks for telling such a silly story about my imagination.
Using your imagination makes everything more fun.
Just like Charles Dickens. Zora Neale Hurston.
Zora Neale Hurston wrote all kinds of stories.
And she shared them with people all around the world. Hey, let's create a sharing story about Brad.
That's because stories are best when you share them with others. They make everyone feel good.
Brad was writing his new comic book alone in the museum, the art room, the classroom, the playground. The museum. Brad was writing his new comic book alone in the museum. When suddenly Brad saw a lonely mummy, moose, marshmallow, octopus. When suddenly Brad saw a lonely octopus.
Aw, poor lonely guy.
So, Brad decided to share his comic book about Baby Brad, Agent Chaos, Bike Man. Baby Brad. So, Brad decided to share his comic book about Baby Brad. Reading Brad's comic book together made it so hungry, silly, happy. Reading Brad's comic book together made it so happy.
Sharing makes everything better.
So then they decided to have a dance party, write a new story, make strawberry jam, eat ice cream. So then they decided to eat ice cream.
That story was awesome!
The end.
Thanks for telling an awesome sharing story about me.
Stories are best when you share them with others.
Just like Zora Neale Hurston.